well, we're gonna have to start.
Shouldn't be doing that.
Everyone ready? This meeting is now called to order Monday, March 8th, 2021. Mr. Pace, would you please lead us in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice
justice
for all.
Thank you, Mr. Pace. Mrs. Kraus, please read the statement of public notice at this time.
Take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with NJSA 10:4-10 as follows. The notice of the meeting was prominently posted on the bulletin board at the municipal building located at 225 Main Street, Little Falls, New Jersey on February 17, 2021. A copy of the notice was faxed to the North Jersey Herald and News and the Record on the same date. Additionally, a copy of the notice was filed in the office of the township clerk on said date. This meeting is being conducted under the circumstances surrounding the COVID-19 health situation. No public will be allowed to attend the meeting in person. A link and a telephone number to join the meeting can be accessed on the township website at www.lfnj.com. Electronic provisions have been established for the public to participate during the public comment portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Mrs. Kraus, at this time, call the roll.
Councilmember Hablitz,
I'm mute.
She's muted.
I just opened her up. There she
There
goes.
she is.
Okay. You can hear me?
Councilmember
Yes,
Present.
Councilmember Kawadi,
present.
Councilmember Sieber,
Present.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Present.
Council President Scoba.
Present. Thank you. At this time, we're going to hand the floor over to the mayor. He has a few proclamations he'd like to entertain. Mayor Damiano.
Yes, thank you, Council President. This evening, I do have two proclamations, the first of which is a proclamation recognizing Irish American Heritage Month. It is being recognized across the, worldwide, across the country, and here in Little Falls. And this evening, we are joined by Kevin Barry, who is of Irish heritage. And a couple of things to know about Kevin. Kevin serves on the board of directors of the Irish American Unity Conference. He's also an honorary Grand Marshal in 1988 of the Bergen County St. Patrick's Day Parade, in addition to being named the Passaic County Irish Man of the Year in 2016, which was awarded to him by the Freeholder Board at that time. I want to thank Kevin for joining us as I read this year's and this month's Irish American Heritage Proclamation. And it reads, whereas millions of Irish immigrants faced with famine, poverty, and persecution in their native Ireland arrived in America in the hope that they and their families would enjoy the bounty of a nation founded on the principles of liberty and justice for all. And whereas from our nation's inception, Irish-born immigrants supported the cause of American freedom, including the printer of the Declaration of Independence, 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence, the father of the American Navy, 16 generals, dozens of other officers, and a large percentage of the rank and file of General Washington's army. And whereas one of those officers, Colonel Stephen Moylan, from Cork, Ireland in 1780, at the direction of General Washington from the Day Mansion, positioned his troops for several months in Little Falls around the areas of Great Notch and the Peckman River and engaged in numerous battles in the War for Independence. And whereas in all our nation's wars, Irish Americans have exhibited honor and bravery in defense of our country, and over 2,000 persons of Irish heritage are recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor, more than twice as many as any other group. And whereas Irish and Irish American labor was instrumental in the construction of the Morris Canal, as well as area roads, bridges, and railroads. And whereas Robert Beatty, who at the age of 16 emigrated from country Armagh, Ireland in 1827 and was described in 1966 in the centennial edition of the History of Little Falls as the most important and most influential citizen of Little Falls over the entire course of our history, who founded the Beatty Carpet Mill on the banks of the Passaic River, which in the 136 years of its existence employed thousands upon thousands of people, many immigrants themselves. And whereas 23 United States presidents are of Irish descent, including our current president, Joseph R. Biden, and whereas today 32 million Americans claim Irish heritage and they have contributed to every facet of American life, including politics, commerce, industry, education, literature, religion, science, medicine, and culture. And whereas on March 17th each year, Irish Americans and everyone who wants to be Irish for the day celebrate the feast of the patron saint of Ireland, St. Patrick. And whereas Congress in 1991 officially designated the month of March as Irish American Heritage Month. Therefore, it is fitting and proper to celebrate the rich cultural heritage and the valuable contributions of Irish Americans to our community and to our great nation. Therefore, I, James Belford Damiano, Mayor of the Township of Little Falls, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2021 to be Irish American Heritage Month in the Township of Little Falls. Again, I want to thank Mr. Barry for joining us this evening of his Irish American descent, and thank Kevin, thank you, and everyone of Irish descent for everything that they have ever done here for everyone of not only the Township of Little Falls, but this great nation.
We'd like to open up the floor to Mr. Barry. Can you unmute Mr. Barry, Mr. Kusia?
I believe I'm unmuted now.
Okay, thank you.
I just would like to say thank you to Mayor Damiano and to Council President Scoba, and all the members of our council for recognizing Irish American Heritage Month. This is the first time it's being done in Little Falls, and believe me, it will not go unnoticed by our Irish American community in Little Falls, which, by the way, represents about 15% of the population of Little Falls. As the mayor said so eloquently in his proclamation, Irish Americans have contributed so much to this country right from its founding. And indeed, it's estimated that about 60% of General Washington's colonial army was of Irish heritage. And in 1780, when he was camped in Morristown, New Jersey, it was a brutal winter. We thought this winter was bad. There were 28 snowstorms in 1780 in Morristown, New Jersey. Brutal winter for the Revolutionary troops. And General Washington gave his troops one day off, not Christmas. It was St. Patrick's Day. And that was a tribute to the value that he held in his Irish American troops. And I could go on about contributions of Irish Americans in the Civil War with the Fighting 69th Irish Brigade, tremendous sacrifices. There's also a quick story, if I could share it. There was a gentleman named John Philip Holland who emigrated from Ireland, found his way to Paterson, New Jersey, and became a school teacher there. He was an inventor. He was an engineer by training and an inventor. And he tinkered with what was known as underwater vessels. And he was testing this vessel in the Passaic River in Paterson, New Jersey, had many of the parts built in the machine shops in Paterson, New Jersey. Well, it became the first submarine ever commissioned by the United States Navy, and that happened in 1900. And Mr. Holland is buried at the Holy Sepulchre Cemetery right down the road in Totowa. So there's many, many contributions of Irish Americans. As I said, the mayor laid them all out in the proclamation. Also, the oldest parade in the world and the longest parade in the world is in New York City, of course, the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And unfortunately, last year and this year, because of the pandemic, they can't officially have the parade, but dozens, even hundreds of Irish Americans kept the tradition alive last year and will again this year without a parade permit, and will march the parade route just for the sake of continuity to keep that cultural tradition alive. But also, Ireland has always been known as the land of saints and scholars. It's generated so many religious people of note in the religious Irish Catholic community. Of course, St. Patrick is one of them. Scholars known worldwide. It's been widely said that not boasting here, but it's been widely said that the Irish saved Western civilization. because, because at a time when in the Dark Ages, Irish monks were literally transcribing books in Latin in caves in Ireland, and that was the only way that that written history was kept alive from all the pillaging that happened in mainland Europe. So I think the mayor mentioned that that Irish American Heritage Month was first proclaimed by Congress in 1991, and presidents and mayors and council members all over the country ever since then have been recognizing the contributions that Irish Americans have made. And I want to thank this mayor and this council again for recognizing the contributions of Irish America. And I hope that we can continue this tradition in person in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barry, for that enlightening talk. I didn't quite know about that one day off. Thank you very much. Mayor Damiano, your next proclamation.
Yes, thank you, Council President. The next proclamation I have this evening is a proclamation supporting all of the women who have been so influential in the history of this nation. We have a number of women who are always an asset to the Township of Little Falls as well, starting with our very own council members here, Tanya Sieber and Christine Hablitz. Our council members have always gone to bat for what they believe is right for this town, and their support and their direction in this township has not gone unnoticed. They continue to work hard each and every day for this township, and I want to thank them, in addition to our former councilwoman, Maria Cordonere, who I know has always been instrumental in moving this town in a positive direction during her tenure here on the council. Another thing to note is that the Township of Little Falls, on a day-to-day basis, holding down the fort at 225 Main Street, is a large number of women, greatly outnumbering the men in that building on a day-to-day basis. And they really do make up a great part of the backbone of this Township of Little Falls. And starting with Cynthia, our clerk, and Melissa, our deputy clerk, who join us this evening, in addition to Pam and Sue and Denise and Andrea, as well as Marlene, Debbie, Alba, and Tony, and Nadine in our recreation department, and Joyce down in our DPW department. The women in this township that help keep this town operating smooth day in and day out cannot go unnoticed. And I want to thank all of them for all that they do every single day here in the township. We are also joined this evening by another woman who has been very influential to the Township of Little Falls, and always happy to support all of the major events that are always happening here, as well as our sports and recreation programs. And I want to thank Judy Schumacher for joining us this evening on this Zoom call to be recognized, because she has always been the first to jump to assist our recreation departments. And we want to thank you, Ms. Schumacher-Tillen, for joining us here this evening. And that said, I'm going to read a proclamation before we do turn the floor over for just a couple of seconds. And it reads, whereas women of every race, class, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, and abilities have made historic contributions to the strength of our state and nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas in overcoming discrimination, harassment, and hardship, women have been bold and fearless, never giving up on the promise that with hard work and determination, nothing is out of reach. And whereas in remembering the trailblazers of the past and the heroines of present day, we honor their legacies by carrying forward the valuable lessons learned from the powerful examples they set. Whether teaching our children, caring for our sick, serving in our wars, starting businesses, serving in elected positions, or venturing into unknown frontiers, generations of women believed their gender was no obstacle to what they could achieve. And whereas during Women's History Month, we recognize the advances we have made in this state for women, but acknowledge that more needs to be achieved so women can gain gender equality and access to the prosperity of this state. Now therefore, I, James Belford Damiano, Mayor of the Township of Little Falls, hereby proclaim March 2021 to be Women's History Month in Little Falls, New Jersey, and encourage all Little Falls residents to join in this observance.
Thank you, Mayor. Crucio, can you unmute Ms. Schumacher?
I think I'm unmuted, Anthony.
Thank you. The floor
I
is yours.
just want to thank James, Anthony, Township Committee, and everyone in Little Falls. It's a wonderful honor, but as James said, there's so many women in Little Falls that have worked diligently to make this town work. I'm very humbled by this honor, and I can't thank Little Falls enough. My father started this business in 1932, so we're going into 90 years on Main Street as a big box company, and I'm pretty proud of that. But I couldn't have done it without the Township of Little Falls behind me and always supporting me as customers and friends. You know, I've learned through life, it's the friendships you make along the way that really carry you forward. So thank you very, very much. And I wish the Township of Little Falls, it's growing every day. Every time I go down Main Street, there's something new coming along, and it's just wonderful. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Before you leave us, I heard a story, Judy, Mr. McNeil told me this story. I was talking about our great service of EMT in our ambulance. He goes, oh, the ambulance was stored on your lot, and your father or your workers would actually drive the ambulance to somebody's house and pick them up. Is that a true story?
That is a true story, and that would be Jack Shaw, who worked for my father for 50 years. And the best story is if he was in the middle of selling a car and he got an ambulance call, he was gone. So, I mean, that was the love that existed in this town, and it's still there. And I pray we never lose that feeling, because it really, it made Little Falls what it is today.
Thank you. A well-deserved proclamation. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Be well.
We're going to continue. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for all public matters?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Havlet, second by Councilmember Kawadi. All those in favor of opening to the public, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to this motion signify by saying nay. This motion carries. Mrs. Kraus, please read the public comment.
Members of the public who desire to provide comment shall raise their virtual hand in the Zoom application. The meeting moderator will cue the members of the public that wish to provide comment, and the council president will recognize them in order. Members of the public who have joined the meeting by calling in must press *6 to unmute and mute themselves, and *9 to raise their hand. Members of the public who have joined the meeting via the Zoom application must click the reactions icon and then the raise hand icon. Please give your name and the address for the record. Once the process is complete, we will return to the regular order of business.
The floor is now open. Before we continue, Councilmember Vanchery, can you hear and speak?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, the floor is now open for any questions or comments.
Perhaps we could just say again, like in case anybody wanted to unmute themselves.
There are no hands raised at this point in time.
Can you,
So I'll just reiterate, if you are calling into the meeting, you must press *6 to mute and unmute yourself.
so like Mr. Fernandez has to unmute himself, is that correct?
Right.
No, Mr. Fernandez
That's
is
the
not
reason
in by telephone. He is in by computer. And again, anyone looking to raise their hand needs to push
Just did.
reactions on the
He just
bottom
did. He just did.
and the raise hand
Oh.
icon.
Mr. Fernandez would like to speak.
Can you please unmute Mr. Fernandez, Mr. Kusia?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fernandez? Mr. Fernandez, can you hear me?
Not yet. He's still unmuted.
He-
He's still muted.
He has to unmute himself. The request went out.
There he goes.
There
Okay.
he goes.
Mr. Fernandez, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Okay, very good. The floor is open, Mr. Fernandez, for your questions and
Actually,
comments.
I have nothing to say, but it was nice that finally this system works. So, actually, yeah, let me say,
Go ahead.
Mr. Wenzel, thank you for the call the other day. It was very nice of you. You explained what my concern, and I'm happy with that. All it took was a phone call. But and thank you, Mr. Escobar, for making for passing the message to Mr. Wenzel.
You're welcome.
It was nice. Hopefully we'll have these meetings face to face in the near future, and we won't have the need for these conference calls or Zooms, whatever you want to call it, because he takes something away from the meeting. It's not personal. It's very impersonal. But I understand due to the pandemic, this is the best that we can do. It's nice to see all of you, well, some of you, I should say. But I'm looking forward to see you in person. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Fernandez, the council, the mayor, appreciate your comments. We do look forward to getting back to the municipal building, but the mayor would have to deem it safe. Although the council does control the meetings, the mayor does control the municipal building. So up until that time, this is going to be our format of running our meetings. As you did mention, it is a pandemic, it is real. And we've had individuals in this town who unfortunately passed from COVID and who unfortunately have gotten sick, very bad sick from COVID. So until it is deemed safe that we can operate safely with the public, then we will. But thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to have any questions or comments said this evening at our meeting? Okay. Does anybody see any hands up or anything?
I do not see any hands up, Council President.
Okay, because I don't either. Okay. I think we've allowed enough time for anyone to speak or have any comments. So we're going to move on. Can I have a motion to close to the public?
So moved.
So
Moved
moved.
by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilmember Hablitz. All those in favor of closing to the public signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed to that motion signify by saying nay. This motion carries, so we'll move on. The next topic is the mayor's, he will discuss establishing the electronic tax payments, the fee ordinance, and also we call it the littering ordinance. It's really not the littering ordinance, but since it is. And also the authorizing of the Cdbg grants. And Mayor, when you get to number 4, please thoroughly explain what the Cdbg grant is, what the acronym, what it means, and how that grant is obtained and how we go about it. The mayor, the floor is yours, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. The first item this evening under the report and items to be discussed is the resolution establishing electronic tax payment policy. And we are looking to update the township's policy with respect to the electronic or online tax payments that we allow residents to make. And it is a service that the township has explored and has been open to, which is allowing residents to pay their taxes online by simply going to the township website, filling out some simple, going through some simple steps, routing or attaching your bank account information to it and making the payment. Unfortunately, there come times when residents have insufficient funds or enter incorrect account information. And when our tax department then tries to make the debit against that account, we essentially have the equivalent of what is a bounced payment. And the township, unfortunately, has to take a fee that is associated with that. So what this resolution does is seeks to establish a policy whereby in the event that an account is found to not exist, if it's entered incorrectly, or if there are insufficient funds, that what this would do is permit the tax collector to block the party from resubmitting electronically for that particular tax period and require that resident to make payment in the form of a regular old-fashioned check that they would need to make out and mail or deliver before the deadline. There may also be the $20 return check fee that if it applied to the township, the resident will have to bear the burden of, because the township should not be responsible for fees associated with individuals entering incorrect or no account or having insufficient funds in their account, no different than a bounced check. So that this resolution seeks to establish that as a policy. because unfortunately, although sometimes it is only user error by the resident, it is unfortunately something that we cannot allow residents to do time and time again in particular tax quarters that will end up costing the township potential funds and really creating some chaos down in the tax office. So we're looking to establish that policy with Resolution A. Are there any
Does the council have any comments or questions or concerns? This is a pretty clear-cut resolution. I think it's going to be very helpful, but does the council have any comments or concerns? Mayor, number 2.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Item number 2 is the fee ordinance amendment, particularly for the recreation program fees. This has been something that has been discussed on a number of occasions at prior council meetings. What we are looking to do is to update our ordinance, really, to ensure that it's far more in conformity with surrounding towns who have turf facilities or who have parks and areas that essentially sports and other sport programs for organized sports can rent out if they are looking to save or have field time put aside for them or their particular program. What this does is a couple of things. It creates a little more structure for the township as far as the scheduling goes. It also generates some revenues for the township, which is something we are always looking to do in an effort to assist in offsetting the taxes that residents are required to make up the remainder of. So this does a couple of things. Like I said, it will generate some revenue for the township while creating a little more structure for us down there with our fields, as well as all of our facilities, including our civic center, our recreation center indoors, all of our parks. So this is not just for the sports and recreation complex. This covers all of our spaces in town.
Councilman, I know you worked on this ordinance along with Mr. Pace and Tyler. Is there anything you'd like to add at this moment?
Council President, I just want to give a big thanks to John Pace and Tyler Pissarro for the work that they put in to get this item on the agenda, because they did the research. They, worked with other towns to see what municipalities were doing when it comes to facilities like we have. So I just want to thank them for the work that they did to get us here tonight.
Does the council have any questions or concerns regarding this fee ordinance? Mayor, number 3.
Yes, thank you, Council President. This is the ordinance amending Chapter 126, our littering ordinance. And like you said, it is not just specifically about littering in the general sense. This is an ordinance that is intended to address an issue that has existed here in town now for a number of years. And it is related to what I like to call the delivery of the Passaic Valley Today, or similar types of deliveries that are delivered by quote unquote airmail, meaning somebody driving by and throwing something out their window into, or trying to get it close to or in your driveway. Unfortunately, with things like phone books or things like the Passaic Valley Today or similar things like that, unfortunately, what we've noticed is too often the driveway is missed and or it is not something that the resident wants and they don't pick it up. Those types of books or newspapers or periodicals or whatever they may be are then blown away and enter our stormwater system. They create issues for us in our stormwater system. It causes clogs. So this is something that we were looking to do this will not stop the delivery. They will just be required to deliver it to houses in a different way, whether that be mail. Of course, residents can always opt out of it if they're not looking to receive these types of mailings, but we are going to be prohibiting the airmail delivery of these types of newspapers, periodicals, books, magazines, etc.
Does the council have questions or concern regarding this ordinance?
No, I just want to say, Mayor, thank you for, pulling this together, because I know this is something that we've discussed in the past, and to see, us taking action, because I can tell you from experience last week, everyone that received the PV today on my street, not one of those papers made it to the curb, the sidewalk, or the driveway. Everything was just laying on the street. For if there was rain, it would just fall into the drainage and everything else. So it's good that we're addressing this, because I know it's been a problem for a while that, we've heard from DPW department as well about this.
Mr. Wenzel, this doesn't partake or this doesn't have no effect on political.
No, it doesn't. That would violate the Constitution. That does not affect door-to-door door dropping.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think there's someone else speaking. Was there some? Okay, I thought I heard someone else speaking. Thank you for the clarification. Mayor, number 4.
Yes, item number 4 is the resolution authorizing the CDBG applications. And this year there are, it's 2 separate CDBG applications that are going to be submitted to Passaic County. CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grant. And what we do with our CDBG grants that we receive from the county is we do street improvements, and that includes our complete streets, which is the addition of Belgian blocks, as well as additional drainage, if there is drainage issues on particular streets. And the streets that are being applied for this year are Mozart Ave and Cherry Street in Singac, as well as Stinson Place. CDBG funding can only be used for a few things. One is roadway or sanitary improvements in our census tract, which is the area of town primarily in Singac. It is there are some areas and streets over by the Russian Hall, as well as all of those west of Route 23, or Newark Pompton Turnpike here in Little Falls. So all of those areas apply. And we have largely left it to our engineers to assist us in establishing which roadways would most qualify for these types of grants. And this year, with the assistance of our engineers, they have determined that Mozart and Cherry Street, as well as Stinson Place, are most likely to qualify, and those are the roadways that we are applying for down at the county this year. Just this past year, we did an improvement to Micklejohn with our CDBG funding. We were also fortunate enough that we can use CDBG funding to do handicap improvements, and that does not need to be in census tract areas of towns. And one of the improvements that is in the final stages of design and will be completed very soon is the handicap access ramp to the rear of the Civic Center. So that will hopefully be installed before we are widely reopened for public access, so that we will have that completed. And I know our township engineer, Tom Lemanowitz, is working on that portion of another prior year's CDBG funding. So again, this year's are simply for Stinson Place, Mozart, and Cherry Street for the complete streets.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments regarding any of those 1, 2, 3, or 4 items? We're going to move on. Can I have a motion to approve resolutions A through E?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, second by Councilmember Hablitz. Before we call the roll, does anyone have any questions regarding A, B, C, D, or E? Seeing no questions or comments, Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll to approve resolutions A through E.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Kraus. Mrs. Kraus, at this time, can you read ordinance 1398?
Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 1398, an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Little Falls Administration of Government, section 3-7.7, Police Division F, Table of Organization of Division.
Can I have a motion to open to the public hearing regarding ordinance 1398?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Kawadi,
Second.
Second.
second by Councilmember Vanchery. All those in favor of opening to the public for 1398, please signify by saying aye.
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 All signify by saying nay if you are opposed. This motion carries. So the floor is now open. If you would like to, any of the residents or participants in this meeting would like to talk, I guess we put your hand up and we'll address any comments or concerns. I don't think there are any.
We'll just remind
I know.
everybody that that's under the reactions button,
Okay.
the raise your hand button.
So as Mr. Councilman Quaddy explained, it's under the reaction button if you'd like to talk on this item. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close to the public hearing on 1398?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Quaddy, second by Councilmember Vanchery. All those in favor of closing to the public for 1398 signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed to that motion signify by saying nay. This motion does carry. Can I have a motion to adopt 1398?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, second by Councilmember Hablitz. Mrs. Kraus, please call the row to adopt 1398.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Aye.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Mrs. Kraus, please read ordinance 1399.
Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 1399, an ordinance entitled Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending the Township Code, Chapter 71, fees.
Can I have a motion to open to the public hearing on ordinance 1399?
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Councilman Kwadi, second by Councilmember Seaver. All those in favor of opening to the public on 1399 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed to that signify by saying nay. That motion carries. If you would like to, again, speak on this on 1399, you're welcome to. The floor is open. Councilman Kwadi, they hit the reaction button, I guess, to get their hand up.
Hit reaction and then raise your hand. Yes.
Thank you. I gather we don't have no hands up, or
There are no hands raised, Council President.
thank you. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing on 1399?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilmember Seaver. All those in favor of closing to 1399 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed signify by saying nay. This motion carries. Mrs. Kraus, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1399?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Hablitz, second by Councilmember Vanchery. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll on 1399 to adopt it.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Mrs. Kraus, at this time, please read ordinance 1400.
Introduction of ordinance number 1400, an ordinance entitled Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending the Township Code, Chapter 71, fees, with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for April 12th, 2021.
Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1400?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, a second by Councilmember Seaver. All those in favor of introducing ordinance 1400, please see, Mrs. Kraus, you have to call the roll, I guess, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Mrs. Kraus, at this time, please read ordinance 1401.
Introduction of ordinance number 1401, an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 126 littering of the Code of the Township of Little Falls, with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for April 12th, 2021.
Have a motion to introduce ordinance 1401.
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Kwadi, second by Councilmember Hablitz. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll to introduce 1401.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, we'll start with council member reports. At this time, Councilmember Vanchery, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thanks, Council President. Some updates from me. From last time when we had the meeting, I mentioned that I had pulled together a list of addresses for the mayor, and I spoke to the chief about it as well, where we can reach out to some residents and let them know where we're proposing an ordinance to add a stop sign at their location. So that is now with the mayor. Like I said, I talked to the chief already about it. He has signed off on it. So when the mayor is ready, we have a letter that's drafted that will go to the residents in case they have any questions or concerns. We're able to address that. I also want to thank Chief Post. A resident had reached out about some speeding on their road, and the police department is now currently conducting a traffic test to kind of look at that road, and we'll circle back with the residents in that area. So I'm thankful for Chief Post addressing something that comes through from a residents. A few other updates from me. As I mentioned last month, we started our planning around the Memorial Day weekend As of now, we are full steam ahead with the concert and the ceremony. I spoke with the American Legion Post Commander last week. As for the parade, we're not ready to make a decision yes or no at this point. We're going to give it a little more time to see if restrictions start to light up over the next month or so. So sometime next month, we'll probably make a call where it stands with the parade. But I have to say, Councilwoman Hablitz and I have been working behind the scenes for the Friday night concert that we're looking to do. We've got a number of performers locked up. We're working to secure some vendors, and we're going to reach out this week to any clubs and businesses in town that are interested as well, where we could set up a table, obviously social distancing. And I'm probably going to set something up soon where we can coordinate with the CERT team and the police department and other groups like the DPW, so we can start planning out how this is going to look and feel next month. The other night, I did want to mention too that myself and Tyler Passero from the rec department, we had a call with the New Jersey Jackals. We spoke with their COO, Greg Lockhart, as well as their general manager to talk about the return of Little Falls Night this summer at the Jackals game. Last season, of course, with COVID, there were so many restrictions, and unfortunately, we had to postpone Little Falls Night, but we're looking to go ahead with that event this year at Yogi Berra Stadium. We're nailing down the exact date. We know it's going to be a Friday night. It's either going to be July 9th or July 16th. Unfortunately, with Major League Baseball restructuring the minor leagues, and with most of the facilities being used as either testing or vaccine administrations across the country, a lot of the minor league seasons were pushed back a month. So their home games are limited early on. We typically try to do this late May, if not early June, but unfortunately the dates didn't work. So we're looking at a July timeframe, which actually works out better, especially with our sports like baseball and softball that will run through June anyway. So we're looking to coordinate Little Falls Night, where Little Falls residents will get a discount for coming out. There'll be some opportunities for businesses to promote what they're doing on site as well. We're going to put something together with the Jackals. The other thing too is all of the in-game promotions will involve Little Falls residents. So it's a chance for kids and their parents to sign up. So we're looking forward to bringing that back this year as well. I also wanted to mention, in addition to sports, with everything going on, as I mentioned before with Mr. Pace and Mr. Passero, the work that they have been doing with the fees, but I also want to commend them for the work that they've been doing this year to help get the spring programs up and running. When you look at baseball and softball, and I can tell you as the baseball commissioner, there's a lot of teams, and we're looking at 23 different teams between the two, and that includes pre-K, our Champions League, as well as K through 8th grade. So I commend the work that they've been doing, where we have over 300 boys and girls signed up to play, and they've been working behind the scenes with each of the coaches, as well as other parents that want to get involved in terms of certification. I do also want to extend the work that they were doing for track and field. This program started 3 years ago, where we started with a handful of kids in town that wanted to try this, and I'm pleased to say, as of today, because we actually got more people to sign up, there are 94 boys and girls signed up for track and field, and this is from K through 8. If we had pre-K, we'd have well over 120 easily. But I just want to commend the work that they're doing to get the rec program up and running for the spring. And they've done a great job with the winter sports, from basketball to travel basketball and indoor soccer. So I just want to thank the rec department for everything they've been doing. Lastly, with today being International Women's Day, and obviously we acknowledged Women's History Month, I do want to send my kudos to several women, especially that are here right now on camera, my two colleagues on the council, Tanya Sieber and Christine Hablitz. As the mayor said, the work that the two of you have been doing since before you joined and when you did join this council is greatly appreciated. Obviously, with Cynthia and Melissa and everyone that is involved in the township, thank you for everything you do. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that the two of you help us with each week, and you work closely with the council president as well as the mayor and Mr. Cuccia. So we appreciate the work that everyone's doing. And then just want to extend it to some of our, powerful women leaders in the community. Obviously, we have our Little Falls resident who's a county commissioner. I know everyone knows it as a freeholder, Sandy Lazara, the work that she does in the county is to be commended. Obviously, our county clerk, Danielle Ireland Imhoff, the work that she's done to help seniors as well as residents in Little Falls. Our state senator, Kristen Corrado, is someone that, many of us have worked with and enjoy, having her involved when we do things around town. And lastly, I just want to also recognize our Congresswoman, Mikey Sherrill. Since the pandemic, with a lot of residents reaching out with some of the challenges related to unemployment or benefits and looking for answers, Congresswoman Sherrill and her staff have opened their doors and extended an olive branch to help residents. I've had the pleasure of sending 3 residents who reached out to their office, and they've been working with them behind the scenes to help them address some of the concerns they have. So there's a lot of powerful and strong women in this county and in this town, and I just want to recognize each of them. That's it for me, Council President.
Thank you for your thorough report, Councilman Vanchery. Councilman Quaddy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. I want to start off by thanking Mr. Barry and Ms. Schumacher for the comments that they made and the education that they provided to us. I know I learned a lot. I hope that we continue to bring in people when we can who can inform us about these days that we're recognizing. To echo Councilman Vanchery and the mayor's sentiments, my feelings on International Women's Day are very simple. It's 364 days too short. And I do want to recognize all of the women, particularly in the past year, who have done so much to keep our society, our communities, and our families going. And it hasn't been easy. And we would be lost without you. As a society, and so thank you all for everything you do every day, not just on the day that we recognize it, but we should be recognizing it every day. Moving on, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I had seen a flyer in a store, and that it just underlined the work of the Domestic Violence Prevention Committee, and so because of that, one of our members said, well, if there's one flyer in one store is having an impact, why don't we put some flyers in some other stores? And so with the help of Ms. DePiro and Mrs. Kraus, we photocopied some flyers. I made up some flyers, and Cindy Shenane, one of our members, walked the town and put up about 50 more flyers. And so those flyers are up reminding people that if they know somebody who may need assistance, there's a phone number on the bottom for the hotline. You can tear it off and walk away and hopefully give someone some help. So I just want to thank everybody who helped make that happen, and just to show my appreciation for what they did, and remind everyone to please help. If you know somebody that needs your help, let them know that they are not alone. I'm very happy about what we're doing with the newspapers. I noticed my next door neighbor had one frozen to his driveway on a Tuesday, and it just reminded me that even though it's not their situation, but it can be in other people's, that those papers that lay in people's driveways are an indicator for anybody who might prey on somebody who is either not able to defend themselves or not home to defend themselves for an extended period of time. Those newspapers act like a beacon for targets. And so I'm thrilled that we're eliminating them. So thanks to the mayor and Mr. Wenzel and the rest of the council for everything we're doing about that. And lastly, Passaic Valley's Operation Graduation is being planned right now. They're looking for donations. If you don't know what Operation Graduation is, it's a celebration that happens after graduation. It had originally begun years ago to stop kids from drinking and driving the night of their graduation. I think in a year like COVID, it's nice that they'll be able to get together safely, but they're looking for donations because these events do become expensive. And so they're having a tricky tray on April 22nd. And if you want information about the tricky tray or just how to donate, the email address is pvhs opgrad, OPGRAD @gmail.com. And so please reach out, help the seniors to have a great celebration on the night of their graduation, and contribute if you can. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Quaddy, for that fine report. Council Member Sieber, you have the floor.
Thank you. So yes, very happy that today is International Women's Day. And thank you very much for the acknowledgement from the rest of the council members at this point. Just a reminder that, it's just a way to celebrate women's achievements and how far we've really come. As a mom of 2 teenage daughters, my only hope is that I could just be a sliver of example for them in all that they can do, as the females in my family were to me. So that is all that I hope for, and to know that as a woman, you can believe in yourself and you can do far more than you could ever imagine. So happy to celebrate International Women's Day today. So thank you for that. And then just a quick note, we did have our open space meeting this past week and continue to push our agenda forward. Again, hoping, I mentioned last meeting, hoping to actually meet in person and do a little site tour of some of our parks and walking paths and areas around town in April. So more to come after that. That's it.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Because my screen went blank, unfortunately, so I'm gonna fly kind of closed eye here. Councilman Member Hablitz, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you. So first I'd like to say with regard to some of the proclamations tonight, I'm so happy that the mayor and the council are acknowledging the diversity of our community. I think that's so important. Last month with Black History Month and this month with Irish American Heritage Month and International Women's Day, it just brings to light the accomplishments of so many groups of Americans. And I just think that that's great. So I'd like to thank the mayor and my fellow council members for really putting this into play. With today being International Women's Day, of course, to acknowledge the great women that we have in this town and internationally throughout the country as well, in business, entertainment, healthcare, science, and of course, politics. Being a woman in politics has become very important to me, and I'm very honored. To say that it's, for me and Councilwoman Sieber to be able to sit here and represent our community, I'm very proud. As far as my library report, I just wanted to say that the library is having their Board of Trustees meeting this Thursday at 7 p.m. It's via Zoom for now, and you can pick up the Zoom link on the website of the library or on the Facebook page. Also that they are having throughout the month of March, the library along with the Woodland Park and the Total Libraries and the Office of Senator Corrado are holding a food drive. Non-perishable items can be dropped off at those locations, and it benefits St. Agnes Food Pantry. And also the library is continuing to have all of their virtual meetings and virtual bingos, book clubs, and so on. So please check that out on their website. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Hablitz, for that report. So I have just a few items. We had our first senior advisory meeting this past week, and the seniors are very, I would say, edgy, or really wanting to get out and have some activities. So we're planning an outdoor concert at the Civic Center parking lot in the early part of May. A local musician, John Morano, and his group will be playing at that local concert. We're also planning other activities. Hopefully, we'll be able to do a barbecue at one of our local halls in the fall, and we have some other activities that are planned throughout the year. The goal is to have an activity every month. So they're very encouraged to get out and see individuals because it's been a very challenging time with COVID. I also met this weekend on Sunday with the Clean Streets Coordinator, Ron Stell, to go over the town where there were some spots of littering that's been occurred, And we spent about an hour and a half going throughout the entire township, looking at those spots, and those areas will be addressed under that program. I want to thank Mr. Kushia and Mrs. DePiero and Mrs. Kraus for helping out running this meeting. I apologize that my screen went blank. And also to Chief Post, I do want to give a shout out. I saw former Mayor Sam Schieber was on as well with us. And we'd like to acknowledge those that are public servants. So thank you for your work, Mr. Schieber, in the past of being mayor in this town. At this point, can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Moved.
Moved by Councilmember Kawadi, second by Councilmember Sieber. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying nay. This meeting is now closed. Thank you.